Oof, I'm gonna need a haircut.
Okay, part one is over. You know about the dystopia. Kathy H. and the rest of them are clones who will one day donate their organs to normal people. Hellsham is an experimental and seemingly luxury option for the clones to stay healthy and grow viable organs so that other people might live healthier lives. So I want to talk about a few things in this video. But first, Chapter 7 juxtaposes two scenes that I find really interesting. The first is Miss Lucy's outburst, and the second is Tommy's elbow injury. So first, Miss Lucy is listening in on some boys talking about being actors and moving to America, and she kind of loses her cool and tells the students that they'll never be actors. They will never go to America. She says that they've been told, yet not told, about their situation, and this seems to stress Miss Lucy out. So much so that Tommy worries about her. Sweet boy Tommy. The other scene in this chapter is Tommy's elbow injury. Some jerk tells Tommy that he can't move his arm or the wound will unzip and he'll start bleeding all over again. Kathy knows this to be false, but when Tommy asks her to help tie a splint to keep it straight, she does it. He's asking her earnestly, and she can't say no to him, even though she knows that to help him make a splint will only continue the joke against him. She does it anyway. So my question is, what's up with that? Why are these two events smashed together in one chapter? This author in this book does not do things by accident, so a close reading will be fruitful. Miss Lucy sees the students telling themselves a story about their future that is a fantasy, an impossibility, and she cannot handle it. She has to tell them the truth directly, even if it seems cruel, even if they were enjoying their fantasy. Kathy H. sees Tommy treating his wound in a way that is based on a lie, a fantasy his classmates made up, and she can totally handle it. She sees how sincere his wish is for the splint, and she doesn't punch through his lie. Miss Lucy punches through the lie. She gives real talk. Kathy H. doesn't. She's basically incapable of real talk. So what does this juxtaposition do? It tells us a lot about Kathy. It highlights her inability to be cruel, even when cruelty is a kindness. She allows the fantasy to continue, even if it will bring Tommy future pain. And I think the important thing here is that Tommy hears that he is in danger, and he does everything he can to prevent that danger. He strives to keep that arm straight. He gets help from others to build a splint. And in the end, the lesson that he learns is that he's a fool for even trying. Okay, on to the next chapter, Chapter 8. It opens with a story about Tommy having friends and being a little more chill. In fact, when somebody says that he has poo on the back of his shirt, he turns to rage, but then he doesn't. He just walks away. Then he's confronted with some great artwork by another student and starts to get sad, but then walks away. Again, he does not rage. No outbursts. Tommy's chill now. Then we find out that Tommy has a girlfriend, Ruth, not Kathy. Have thoughts about that? Leave them in the comments. So this first part, this first 110 pages or so, it seems to have a full traditional young adult novel arc. Tommy starts with an inability to control his emotions, but by the end of it, he's got full control. He's done it. He moved on from childhood and into adulthood. His emotions have been effectively dulled. He has learned not to feel his feelings so outwardly, so immaturely, so destructively. Which brings me to the other stuff that happens in this chapter. There's a lot of talk about sex in this chapter, and here's the thing. When you're reading literature, sex is never just about sex. It's always about something else. Process, power, experience, whatever. It's just not about sex. If the main point of the sex is sex, then you're reading porn. So we learn more about Kathy through her sex education. She tries to learn as much as she can through books, for example. She seems like she wants to do it just to learn about it, or just to better understand what everybody else is talking about. And that's pretty typical Kathy. She wants to be able to comfort people, and it seems like a sexually active group of teenagers will need comforting. So she needs to do her research. She decides that she's going to sleep with a young man named Harry. She plans it out. She asks permission. That's good. Consent is necessary. And then she doesn't do anything. She doesn't do anything with Harry because Tommy and Ruth break up and she's curious about their future. She's the heir apparent. This is it. We all ship them. It's gonna happen. They're gonna get together. But then Ruth asks Kathy to help her get back together with Tommy, and she does. She advocates for Ruth to Tommy. She acts selflessly, I guess. And Tommy essentially asks her if she's sure. Like, you can tell that he's curious about her as well, but she does what Kathy always does. She takes care of others. She takes care of Ruth instead of herself. And Tommy, poor Tommy, who should own his feelings here, who should be the fully emotional Tommy from the beginning of the book and let all his feelings show. Instead, he shows restraint. He walks away. He has been taught not to feel his feelings so strongly or to advocate for himself, and he doesn't. He learned the lessons so typical in YA novels. He became more mature, I guess. He can handle his emotions better, I guess. It just sucks, you know? I can't help but feel like he shouldn't have learned those lessons. These lessons of maturity were a mistake. Feel your feelings, bro. Tell Kathy you like her directly. If you can do something to protect your physical body, do it. If you can do something to protect your emotional health, do it. Rage against the parts of your situation that prevent you from that protection. Don't just walk away with your head down and into a situation that you don't want to be in. Kinda seems like these lessons he's learned through part 1 might have bigger implications on the rest of this book. And what a great book, huh? What a crazy genre-bending mess this book is. Can't wait for part 2. Next video will be about chapter 12. Alright. Only one comment response. Can you guys see I'm wearing my Ravenclaw tie? Okay. So Gregory Cephas notes that we are told, in passing, that Ruth dies sometime in the future. And I think this is a great example of what Miss Lucy says in chapter 7 to the students, that the students are told yet not told about their situation. We are told this about Ruth before we really get to know Ruth, so we're told this before we can process it. And that's one example of many of the times that Kathy will do that to us throughout this novel. We can look for more as we go. Read the next 3 chapters, and I'll make a video in a couple days.